Vlogger 797.
Good morning. It's Friday, and to get back on track a little bit with the week of the vlog, since everything's kind of been knocked haywire, I've been asked a lot about music. And why did that just pop down like that? Music is obviously really, really important to how I vlog, to how I edit, to how I do everything. I really, really enjoy putting good music in videos, occasionally annoying music. I'm sorry for that when that happens. And well, sometimes people just don't like the music or the style that I cut to or whatever, but I feel like the way that I use music makes for a little bit more of a more dynamic experience, hopefully. I also find it to be a very useful tool just for keeping things moving, when otherwise I might get a little bit bogged down, so that can be helpful. I figured I'd talk a little bit about music, how I go about choosing what I choose, what I use, why I use it. I'm gonna try to go down to the Peloton now. I haven't been down there in like a week. Grab myself a tasty waffle because I feel like I'm ready to eat something finally. For those of you who've been tracking this week, I'm doing much better. Still very tired, but I slept like for almost 12 hours straight, which was really good, just like a good long sleep. And I feel overall better. Like, I don't feel sick anymore, I just feel deeply fatigued. So we're on our way out, assuming that fatigue is all I've got left to deal with and I can sleep some more. I think I'll be fine. Let's go get some coffee. Questions I'm asked most frequently is if I know what song I'm going to use before I start my day. And the answer is 90% of the time, no. And to keep with that, I have no idea. The music you're hearing right now, no idea. I haven't figured that out yet. It's a decision I usually make later. If you've watched one of my live edits, you probably haven't really seen this process because normally I load all of the footage, music, intro, everything into the project before I get started. What I end up doing right before I start editing is I go into the music files that I have, and I've got 4 or 5 artists that I use usually. Lately I've been using David Cutter because he dumped a whole bunch of music a few months ago, and so there's tons of his stuff that I've just never used, and so it's really tempting to just keep using that because it's brand new and I haven't used it before. But I go through, I kind of get to the area where I haven't really used any yet, and I just start listening to music, and I listen and I think, does that match the mood today? No. Does that? No. Just go around. Sometimes the name of the song itself actually does influence my decision a little bit, but usually it's the mood, the sense that the music gives, whether it's a little bit more upbeat, a little bit more discordant, a little bit more, one thing or the other, and then I edit the day to that. Occasionally, there'll be a song that I hear that I'm like, ooh, I gotta save that for when I go to Italy or when I go back to the States or something like that, and I'll like mark it in my spreadsheet to use it later. Usually, no idea. Because the music I use generally falls within a couple of particular styles. The tempos are often very similar and the beats are as well. I don't need to know exactly what song I'm using for the day to plan some of my transitions, shots to work well with the music. It's actually, because I've been doing this for over 2 years, a lot of it just happens without thinking now as far as how I shoot, how I move the camera to create motion, to make different transitions, or to hopefully stick to the beat, the way that I'll kind of do little double takes with the camera, things like that. A lot of it just really works very smoothly with most of the music that I use. Of course, yesterday, because it was a very slow moving day and I didn't have a lot of shots, I picked a much slower song to kind of, draw things out a little bit, make it feel slower, help you to feel my pain a little bit. So there's always a little bit of a trade-off. The music is there to help tell the story, to help set the mood, to help get things going. And so some days the music is there to somber things up a tad bit. This is Paul's favorite part of this life.
It is, yeah.
Oh, Loctite.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
That'll be
What did you
really
need this for?
For these, for the tripods, because then they'll stick together better. Oh wow, that's a fat one. Susan, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm guessing. Yeah, she said there were 2 packages. So I'm guessing these are both from her.
Oh, that was.
Oh, it's a Z mount.
Wow. What I've always wanted.
So I've definitely wanted one of these. this. So what it does is if you put your camera on this, and then theoretically, I don't know how this has never happened before, then it comes out like that. So if your camera's sitting on it, then you can like tilt it over the edge.
Oh, sweet.
And point it down.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This was Tripod Mania, brought to you by Susan the Generous. Thank you, Susan. Yeah, don't worry, I'll turn off the camera and you can. No, all right. This is good. Super tired, but like overall feel very good. Just gonna go take a nap now. But otherwise, I'm definitely on the mend. Had a nice meeting with Richard there. No Gustav, sorry. But we're discussing our plans. There's a lot of wind. Hopefully my hand is defeating the wind effectively. We're going to start meeting next week to discuss future plans, businessy stuff, but I'll tell you more about that later. Wow, there's a lot of wind. I'll come back to you in a minute. I need lunch and a nap. Not necessarily in that order. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop up some tomatoes and onions, make some guac, let the guac sit for a bit, because guac is best if it sits for a bit. A bunch of random dusts and stuff in my room. Anyways, I'm mildly distracted by being tired. On the music front, people often ask also about whether or not I can use like other songs, other artists. The thing is that I don't use copyrighted music. I did on a few of my earlier vlogs. I actually had a whole spreadsheet dedicated to music that I discovered that I wanted to use and its copyright status on YouTube. But it gets kind of complicated. Using copyrighted music on YouTube, you can get away with it, but then they cut into your ad revenue, which for me doesn't mean much because I don't make any money on ad revenue really. It's like $100 a month or something like that. So it wouldn't really make that big of a difference to me. But I'm more worried about them just randomly like changing policies and taking my content down in the future. Not that they would do that for sure, but I don't know how much I fully trust it. So instead I work with artists whose entire thing is to make music for YouTube videos, who I can then pay for that music, and then I can use it without fear of reprisal. Because I have used others where like I actually reached out to artists directly and said, hey, can I use your song? And they said yes, and then later, I don't know if they sold that music to a record label or if something else happened, but I did get a copyright takedown notice later from them. And so there's like, I want to have some sort of a system in place to protect the content from getting, muted or removed or anything later. I just would like some level of accountability, some level of stability, something. I'll be back. I'm gonna lie down or make, I don't know what's gonna happen next. I feel like I should at least make the guac first and then lie down, because you want to give your guac a good 30 minutes to really let the flavor settle in. We're gonna do that before I pass out. All right, well, what I figured I would do, took a nap, feeling okay. Definitely just physically exhausted, but I think I'm catching on. I've opened up, I'm gonna use one of David Cutter's songs. Like I said, he's been who I've been kind of defaulting to with the third season so far, and then we'll go back through. I try really hard not to use the same music too frequently, so I do keep a spreadsheet with every song that I've used for which vlog a day, and if it's within the same month, it's usually a definite no. If I've used the same song within the last couple of months, 3 months even, I won't use it again. So even songs that I really like, I try to only use a couple times a year, and that way I don't want it to be, there's sometimes you're gonna go back, you're gonna hear the same song. If you go back and you watch through, you'll hear the same music, but psychologically, I guess, I don't want you as a viewer to start feeling like, oh, I've heard this song, oh, he uses this song all the time, like this last thing I want. So I try very actively to keep it mixed up, but the trick is then you have to find music that is both good and fits the tone for the day. So I've opened this up, and what I generally do is I just start by double clicking and listening to a clip of the music, right? This could actually, have I used this recently? Yeah, I have used this recently. I was gonna say it sounds familiar. So this is Corners, I used that. I've also used Coconut recently. So the goal is to find a song that kind of matches the tempo of the day, but also how I feel right now, which is a little bit tired and discombobulated, but positive and on the upswing. So it can be fairly upbeat. I don't want it to be like too upbeat, like, yeah, let's go. Like, I don't want it to be too exciting of music, because that'll be disingenuous to how the day feels, how I feel today. But I also don't want it to be too quiet or too slow, or, because that you keep that for the more thoughtful and slower days, which today is not really one of those days. So feels a little bit like a 1980s police procedural. The other thing is the first few measures are always pretty slow for him. So then if we move, no, definitely not. That was, I think, what we used yesterday. Way too slow. This one's called Brazil. This could be. It's got a little bit of a hopeful take on it. Feels very Mario, actually. Yeah, I like this. It's positive. It's upbeat. This is kind of chill. It's not too driven. So I'm gonna choose that and drag it and drop it into my project, and then that's what I'm gonna edit to today. So that's how I find my music every day. Is basically I sit down after I've gone through the day. How do I feel about how the day went? How's the story gone? Has everything come together? And then I decide what song to use. I think that's really important because if I were to choose the song to begin with, I think I would definitely shoot to that, and that can work. Sometimes, like going into the yacht video that we did, which I'm sure some people I've already seen have hated because it's not so focused on the yachts, it's more focused on me. Spoiler alert, this is a vlog. The thing is that I would rather that the song reflect how the day actually was than trying to craft the day to the song. And so that's why I think it's really important to wait till the end of the day to sit down and think about the music. Themes, stories that I want to tell, like today, starting out the day thinking I'm going to talk about music, that's something you need to think about in advance. You want to be planning, you want to think like, okay, this is the story that I want to tell, this is the thing I want to highlight, this is where I want to go with it, fine. But how the day actually goes, how you spend it, how you feel, where you end up energy-wise, where you end up with all of this, something you can't know going into the day, and I don't think that you should think too heavily on ahead of time, i.e. what song do I want to represent today, because then that modifies how you see the day in an unfair way. Like you start to craft how you see the day to something that may not actually reflect reality, and that is something I want to avoid. How's that for a day? I'm pretty tired. I'm going to edit this, and then I'm going to go have dinner at Prashant's mom's place, which sounds really nice. Some sort of delicious chicken curry is what he said we were going to be having this evening, so I'm looking forward to that. And then that might be it for the day. And then I'll probably go straight to bed, actually, with a very full tummy, because I could definitely use more time in bed because I'm still really tired. I'm going to get to editing now.